But in real life, the whole idea that you would live together before you actually get married, their statistics actually show that works the opposite way. Does that make sense?
It does.
So let me ask you this. From a therapist perspective, let's look at some key clinical findings.
Okay.
Oh, look, a study in the Journal of Marriage and Family. So do you know these studies? Do you have these kind of stuff memorized?
No, I don't have it memorized. I've just read them.
Okay, so why does the whole idea of living together before you get married actually work against a healthy marriage and not for it?
Well, sometimes it's like, okay, you don't deal with the main issues that you might be experiencing. For instance, you might say, well, I don't have to put up with this for long, or having this conflict is not a big deal because I can just leave.
Okay, so by you starting out like that when you're not married, that mindset and that thinking kind of bleeds over into your actual marriage. Is what you're saying. That's what I heard you say.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that.
And speaking of practice before you play, actually, you know how people say practice makes perfect? Mm-hmm. Actually, that's not true. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if you're going to practice being married, there's no way to really practice being married. Do you think there is?
No.
So, I mean...
It's really not a good idea. And a lot of people come across, they'll say, well, financially, we need to deal with, it's better for us financially. We're saving our money so that we can get married and have a place or whatever. But, that's kind of a cop-out in the sense of we just want to do what we want to do. But... I get it. I get what they're saying, but if you want the real long term, I guess if you want a good marriage, or if you want marriage to last and deal with things in marriage, you want to do it in a proper way that God has instituted. He's the institution. He instituted marriage. It's not something that we came up with.
Okay, so. Since we may have listeners who haven't come to the place that we've come to in our life where we have a personal relationship with Jesus, let's talk about the cohabitation paradox.
Okay.
I'm actually reading a book right now called The Paradox Effect. I can't remember the author. I'm just starting it. Mm-hmm. But I find it interesting. The whole idea behind a paradox is really affect. That's an interesting thing to me. But people think cohabitation is a test run, but the research says otherwise. This is not about judging anyone's path.
Right.
It's about giving people the truth so they can build relationships. So you've already talked about, while people say it is a test run, we've already talked about practice before you play. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to bring in, you're a clinician, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas I'm just a guy sitting here.
Okay.
So as a clinician, let's talk about the clinical findings. This is not God is pleased or not pleased. This is not the Bible. Mm-hmm. This is just science.
Yeah.
I mean, now, by the way, faith and reason, science and science and the Bible are not at odds.
Exactly.
They don't have to be at odds.
Exactly.
So let's talk from a clinical perspective. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with cohabitation?
Okay. So, I mean, with my findings and also with the, let's just say, the Journal of Marriage and Family.
Is that a thing?
It is. And
okay.
They found that couples who live together before marriage have a higher rate of dissatisfaction and conflict compared to those who do not cohabitate,
Okay.
Especially if they did not have a clear understanding or clear expectations of what was expected of each of them.
All right, so that brings me to the next clinical study.
Okay.
Sliding versus deciding. Wow, Dr. Scott Stanley. Hey, since you're the clinician, you speak to this part.
Okay, so Dr. Stanley research showed that couples often slide into cohabitation out of convenience. financial reasons or emotional momentum, not necessarily because of a shared vision or commitment to the future. So you see, did you hear that? The commitment to the future, the commitment to each other. The commitment is so important.
You know what I find funny, paradoxical actually,
Okay.
is that couples think by moving in together they're making a commitment to their future, but actually it's more like putting a toe in the water when you're trying to swim. Well, Jim, everybody starts with that. No, everybody doesn't start with that. When I took swimming lessons when I was a little boy, we just jumped in the water in the shallow end, and we got started swimming. And I know people think that's what they're doing by living together, but it's not. It doesn't work like that. Hey, and by the way, if you're living together, this is not all about shame, and beating you on your head.
No.
We're just messengers here delivering the news.
Absolutely.
Don't shoot the messenger. You know what I'm saying?
So cohabitation without clarity increases the risk for ambiguity and misaligned expectations, like I said kind of earlier. Both are big risk factors in marital dissatisfaction.
Okay, one of our big things that I like to talk about, so I want to lead you into this conversation, is talking about conflict resolution skills and how cohabitation actually ends up delaying conflict resolution skills. So what do you have to say about that?
So cohabitating couples may avoid serious conflict or compromise by leaning on ease of cohabitation instead of doing the harder work of communication and repair. So when there's no covenant or clarity of the future, couples may tolerate dysfunction longer or avoid hard tasks or hard talks, like we said before, assuming they can just exit later if it doesn't work, but this creates emotional baggage, and this carries into the marriage.
The other thing about cohabitation is that there are actually higher breakup rates, especially with children involved.
Oh, I hate that too.
But I mean, hey, it is what it is. We're just delivering the message to us.
I know it, but cohabitating couples, have higher separation rates. That's what we don't want than couples who particularly have children and are more involved. We don't like that at all, but that is what happens.
Hey, I get asked often, hey, Jim, you guys have been married 40 years. Give us one, how people ask, give us one tip that's allowed you to be this successful in these 40 years. And it reminds me of what you were just speaking to about cohabitation and having the whole idea that you can leave whenever you want to leave. The one key to our marital success, well, actually it's hard to give one key, but one of the keys is that we decided that we were not going to not be married.
Right. That whole little word, divorce was not an option for us. And
no matter how bad it got, maybe it didn't get bad enough for you.
Well, it wasn't an option. That's kind of how we went into it. It was a commitment. It was like, whatever comes, we're going to work on it and deal with it. So that was almost like a kind of a stable place for me, a safe place.
Got you. And we're talking about cohabitation and kind of how it does the opposite of what you think it may be doing in terms of better preparing you for marriage. And one of the big differences is that cohabitating couples basically come in here like, this is a trial run. We're going to see how this works.
And then you add in kids. Keep going.
Then you add in kids, which are confounders. I remember when I first heard that word. Barbara Davis Center in Denver. You remember this?
I think so.
Anyway, so kids are confounders, adding issues to an already interesting situation. But it's the opposite of the commitment. So cohabitating, the paradox is, cohabitating is actually the opposite of committing. People think it's the first step toward committing.
Yeah.
But it's actually the opposite. It's more of a trial run.
Absolutely. And the children, going back to them, when they're raised in this environment, they're more likely to experience instability, leading to higher risk and anxiety, academic problems, and relationship difficulties in life later life.
Okay, let's talk about this, Teresa.
Okay.
So we talk about you being the clinician, and I think you said I was just a guy.
That's what you said.
Well, it doesn't matter who said it. One of us said it. So you said you're the. Let's kind of bridge the clinical and the faith.
Okay.
Okay. So people think that our faith is about a bunch of rules and about a bunch of don'ts. But you know what I used to tell our kids when we were growing up about rules and God's rules?
Okay, yeah, tell me.
When God says,
I do remember.
When
but go
God
ahead.
says, "Thou shalt not," or "Don't," what He's saying is, "Don't hurt yourself."
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the rules, the guidelines, the parameters, the guardrails are for our benefit.
Yes.